already know what time it is. It's your boy DJ Richie Skye back with some tea, interviews, recaps, and more. And be sure to check the links in the description of this video for trips, for books, one-on-one sessions, and more. Now let's get into the tea. Y'all, let's have some real talk about the latest episode of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. And we're going to start this thing off with a little bit of news after the episode aired, okay? So Drew posted an exchange that she had with Ralph after last night's episode, and some of this actually involved her mother. Yes, there's a lot of mama drama and undercurrents in this episode, and we're going to talk about them all. We are. We have to. I mean, that's what we are going to do. All right, so Drew, and I don't know who started it first. I don't know if it was Ralph that said it first or if Drew responded, but Drew says Ralph does an amazing job as a peach holder. Hashtag Real Housewives of Atlanta. Then Ralph also says Drew does an amazing job lying and playing victim. These Real Housewives of Atlanta fans believe anything. Well, what is she lying about? Let us know, Ralph. What is she lying about? Is it that you did not try to have her attorney recused? Or was she lying about, well, allegedly lying about how well you guys are allegedly co-parenting in her eyes? Let us know, Ralph. What was the lie? Then he says something to the effect of, Mama gotta watch her mouth. Don't you remember I saved you after you spent all your husband's money and had nothing? I was your angel then. Things change fast, doesn't it? Well, it probably does if you making her daughter's life a living HE double hockey sticks. I mean, I don't know if that's the case or not, but the way it's being portrayed on the show, it is as though you are trying to make her life a living HE double hockey sticks. So, yeah, things change fast, my brother, when you're getting a divorce. Okay. Drew says, disrespecting my mother, especially on a public forum, is completely unacceptable. She's simply speaking from a mother's perspective based on what she witnessed. Please stop the unnecessary negativity and show some basic respect. All right. You can see a lot of comments in support of Drew. She has streamed the Lulu now. Actually, shout out to Drew and Dennis for the song placement in the episode last night. They played her song when she was giving her scene with her mom. Now, I don't know if there was subtle shade to her because her mom dropped some truth bombs on her that she wasn't quite ready to hear, or if it was really just, I mean, honestly, if I were Drew, I'd be like, whenever I come on the screen, play my song. That's what I would really request that. Y'all got all these other music this music. Y'all, if you know what I mean by music, then you will know what I'm talking about. Music is like random music that people will play. You know, I mean, it's a term for random music that people play in the background of things, right? So if y'all gonna be using that music, you might as well be using her actual music in the scenes. That's what I think, but that's just me. I mean, they would be playing every song on my album if it were I, okay? If it were I, that's just me. All right, so another piece of news that I do feel like I want to mention, and I want to mention it because I think it's important. We also learned that, unfortunately, I did not know this, but Angela's mom passed. So, Angela, we definitely send you condolences. She said, tonight's episode includes my mommy. It's almost impossible to believe she isn't here with us. I'm so grateful she made her on-screen debut, even if it's just for a moment. She passed suddenly. My world shattered in an instant. The pain, the loss, the heartbreak, words can't even begin to describe it. The world will never get to witness her jovial spirit, her laughter, her love, and that hurts more than I can put into words. We miss her more than ever. I hope I made her proud. I know she's watching over us. Even now, she lives on through me. Her strength, her humor, her unconditional love, they're woven into every fiber of who I am. Mommy, I love you endlessly. You are my everything, my inspiration, my light, my forever. They say it gets easier. That's hard to believe. P.S. This was filmed over a year ago. And in the wake of such a tragic loss, all family issues are insignificant. I wish nothing but peace and love for everyone. All right. So I just wanted to send some condolences to her. I did wonder why, and maybe if they did, I missed it. They didn't put up in loving memory of. I just feel like that would have been appropriate just because I felt like this was her on-screen debut and it was a memorable one, right? So I just think that it would have been a nice little touch to add that. And if they did and I missed it, you guys let me know in the chat. I mean, because listen, I blink. So I mean, I can miss some things, but I don't recall it playing during the original airing of the episode that I watched on YouTube TV. So I just don't know. So anyway, just condolences to Angela. I completely understand what you're feeling. It's hard. So my heart goes out to her. All right, y'all. So listen, that beard died, boy. That beard died. It's growing back, y'all. It's growing back slowly but surely. Woo! And I can't wait. All right, so the episode is titled, it's season 16, episode 11. It's called Let's Be Honest. Porsha and Shamiya find themselves at a crossroads as gossip about their friendship forces them to reevaluate their bond. Angela's attempt to bring peace to her family takes an unexpected turn when she uncovers shocking new information. To be honest with you, I don't recall what was the shocking information. I was so focused on the Porsha and the Shamea of it all and the Drew and the Ralph of it all that I just don't recall. I mean, other than her mom being, I thought, hilarious. I thought her mom was just, I mean, it's you kind of get where Angela doesn't have like a self-deprecating humor, but Angela is able to laugh at herself. And it's clear that she got this from her mother. Clearly she got it from her mama. So and mama came with a little bit of mess, with Charles, and she kind of sticks her foot in her own mouth as well as Angela. And so it just ends up being that Angela is a beautiful disaster to watch on television, a delight, and then so was her mom. So that's what I'm going to leave that with, because I just think that, to I think end on such a high note with her mom and the discussion about her mom in the scene, to me, means more than anything else that we could possibly say. So we're going to leave it there. All right. So let's get into the nuts and bolts of this episode. If I had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give it maybe like a 9. I would give it a solid 9. I don't know what it was missing for me. But I just felt like something was missing. And I think my enjoyment of the episode was usurped by Portia's post following her viewing of the episode. Remember the other day we talked to you guys about how Porsha had, made this Instagram post about Shamea coming for her mama. And to be quite frank, I was looking for the moment. That she was referring to, and I just didn't see it. I didn't see it. I did not see it. So if you guys saw it, let me know. And if the audio shifted just a little bit, I did switch to my mic. It wasn't coming through the mic initially. I don't know why I'm giving you guys that production note, but I just wanted to kind of inform you just in case you're watching and the volume shifted a little bit. All right, so we're going to keep this in the video. Yeah, I'm looking for the moment, and I don't know. If the moment existed, it was the subtle implication that something went on between Shamia's mom and Portia's mom, and it was further accelerated by Portia's post, with Porsha indicating that Shamia's mom allegedly did something very egregious to Miss Diane. Now, what that thing was, I don't know. A part of me wonders, did it have something to do with a man from back in the day? I mean, I really don't know. We won't know. And when asked about it in the episode, after it was briefly touched on, which is what maybe Porsha was upset about by Shamiya, was that back in the day, something happened. When asked and pressed about it by production, she would not reveal it. Now, you know, I don't really like to get into people's mamas too much, other than, I mean, appreciation and the light touching on what it is that they say or do, like the elder mamas. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I grew up in the South. That's just how I am. I can't help it. I'm trying to get out of it, but I can't. So, I don't know what happened, but now I'm interested because y'all have both made reference to it. So somebody got to tell us something. Okay. Because y'all talked about it. So now we want to know. And I think it goes a long way towards informing us about the dynamic of Shamiya and Porsha's friendship. I do. It seemed to begin with the mamas. No, I could be wrong. All right, so let's dive into it. We get a scene with Cynthia and Shamea. Shamea is distraught about her relationship with Porsha. I noticed that Cynthia references her own friendship issues on the show. And she talks about Nene specifically. But now she might want to talk about Kenya, okay? Because her and Kenya ain't on the best of terms now. But I feel like Cynthia, over the course of this show, has been jockeying back and forth between Nene and Kenya, and it has been much to her dismay. She's fallen out with both of them at this point now, and looking now in the present, right? But previously, it had been Nene that called her a flip flopper, Nene that really didn't think she was a good fit for the show when Nene was upset with her. It was, I mean, Nene was on a warpath with Cynthia. And so Cynthia now has to kind of relive those things with Shamea and Porsha. And at first, she didn't want to say whose name it was, but then she, when she went into the explanation in her confession, she talked about that it was Nene, which I thought was interesting. And it's also interesting that they didn't show no flashbacks. Okay. So, which for all intents and purposes, they probably could do, but based on whatever happened with that whole litigation situation, maybe they can't show no photos or videos of Nene, or maybe they just don't want to at this point because they don't want to have to rely on anything that has to do with her at this point in time. I don't know what the case is because normally y'all know they would have shown a flashback. As the great Mariah would say, catch. Okay. I was looking for the flashback. I was looking for the flashback of Nene Leakes on Andy Cohen's show talking about Cynthia back in the day. Y'all remember that? But it is good to see that they are where they are right now. So I'm happy about that because, post Cynthia, then she just been dogged out, passed around. I mean, and when I say dogged out, I just mean they didn't talk about this girl like a dog. Okay, they didn't rip her to shreds. And oddly enough, she's still the one standing on this show. So take for that what you will. Shamea blames the girls and Porsha. And I've already stated to you guys, I feel like they both share some blame in this situation, but we'll get more into that when they have their Ponderosa sit down. Porsha then meets up with Angela I forgot this whole episode started off with Angela and Charles. We got a lot of Angela, okay? We get a lot of Angela on this show, which is, I think, to the show's credit, right? Angela and Charles are sitting down. I don't remember what they discussed, to be honest with you. The thing that sticks out to me in this scene was that the producers are asking Charles to tell her that he loves her, and he ain't gonna do it. Now, there's a part of me that knows that people online are gonna look at this and they're gonna be like, "Ooh, child, he don't love her." And I don't think it's that. I think that they just have a relationship where Charles refuses to do anything that anybody wants him to do. If you want him to do it, he's going to do the opposite. Just because I think that that's just who he is. I think he is a natural born contrarian. That would annoy the mess out of me. I do not like those types of people personally because you want to do you don't want to do what's expected of you. And I get it, right? But the active rebellion against it, despite how it will make your wife look, I think is crazy, but it makes for phenomenal television, right? It gives us plenty to sink our teeth into, particularly when you know what you know from last week's episode. Was it last week's episode when Angela revealed to Kelly that there had been some level of indiscretion in the past, right? There was also the issue with Angela's mama and the sister versus Charles. There was also the little break that they had after he was dragged out the game or whatever allegedly happened back in the day. So, I mean, it's in the context for which it is existing, he looks crazy, which makes her look crazy. Because if it were me or anybody else, y'all know we would have just been like, of course I love my wife. This is her thing, this is her platform. Let me make her look as good as possible because I mean the alternative is I'm gonna have to face her wrath when I get home. Period. But Charles don't care. Okay. So there we have it. Next, Porsha, Angela, Portia's booty, and Cynthia all go bowling, right? Angela wants the guardrails. I mean, girl, you are a 6'5" woman. I don't know why you need those guardrails. If you don't launch that bowling ball like a missile, I don't know what you. I mean, and they are throwing the. I hate when I'm bowling with somebody and they just slam that ball on the ground. Like, I would rather you just roll it from in between your legs, your thigh meat, versus you slamming the ball like that. I just hate the sound of it. Break the floor, why don't you? And then not hit nothing. It'd be annoying, don't it? Don't play with those people. Meanwhile, they get into a discussion. A lot of people say that Porsha is spending so much time on the Drew situation because she can't talk about Simon. I see that a lot, but I also see I do see her discussing him, right? I mean, I don't know what more she could really say other than I cannot show the man's house that I am now taking ownership of. I can't film in it, or I don't even know if she says his name anymore. Maybe other people can say his name. I really can't. I'm really, I don't know. But I feel like she does talk about him. I feel like she doesn't want to talk about him ad nauseum because there's not much we can really do because they were still in the throes of this divorce. But it is, as I stated before, now that we know he's still detained, is very interesting because we know that he would have been tweeting up a storm or Instagramming up a storm, but every week. So it's kind of an interesting situation, right? Because now it's like, well, she had to avoid doing all of these things, but it really doesn't matter now because he is detained. So I don't know. What I do know is that she does talk about him and the effects of the situation on her and her family. And admits that she still reached out to him like, girl, you're divorcing him, correct? So I mean, I don't know. There is nothing wrong with expecting some level of civility, I think, because when you get married to a person or when you get in a relationship with a person, you get involved with the best of intentions, and you hope. This is why I always state, I mean, granted, you can never predict what will happen in a divorce or how people will respond in a divorce. But I do think that there is something to be said for understanding how and what a person does when they get angry. And then if you notice how they break up with the person before you, Porsha, this is where you check the whole facts. Whole facts, I know it sounds very harsh, but it is basically just look at the history of the person's dynamics with their ex. And that would have told you everything that you needed to know. Meanwhile, Drew is going through her own situation. Allegedly, Ralph wants to keep. We learn as she's driving back from someplace, being driven in her car, talking to her mama on the FaceTime, that Ralph wants to own 40% of her LLCs. The one that she first had in 2005, I believe that was maybe before they met. And then the new one that her attorney tried to get her to start based on, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. Did Melody have to also do this with her makeup line? Remember when she had the Embrace Beauty and then they went through the divorce? I felt like she had to maybe she didn't have to. I could be wrong. And I'm just trying to understand the process that maybe her attorney was trying to, leverage in starting a new LLC now that she is in the divorce process. Now Ralph is, as a result, trying to have that attorney recused, but it seemed like that would be the smart play for her to do. And now it is being alleged that Ralph is now trying to take 40% of the new LLC, unless I got the percentage mixed up. Let me explain to you how I feel about this. Now, I understand that it sounds like Ralph does really, really well financially, but we don't know that. And it seems like Drew does not know that, which is also kind of interesting. Like, she had no idea what his finances were during the marriage. So with that being said, it sounds like Ralph was also taking care of Drew and her mother, right? Sounds like maybe Ralph was paying for the house. It sounds like Ralph pays for a lot. Now, with that being said, that is what you signed up for, okay? That is what you agreed to do when you were in a good space in this relationship. To me, that's what you chose to do. So now that you guys are in the situation where you're trying to get out of it, to be honest with you, I am the type of person that I don't understand. Maybe because he feels like he paid for so much that he's owed a portion of what she gets. But in my opinion, I mean, for me, I wouldn't want nothing. Okay. If we get a divorce, I don't want nothing that you own, that you can't. In fact, okay. In fact, just get me and my kids out of here. Okay. Just get me and my kids out of here. Take it all. I don't want nothing but my name. Okay. I can go out and make some more money. Again, as the great Mariah says, catch. Okay, because especially your business, because you're also still the mother of my children. I need you to be able to go out and make some money so you can still do the things that you need to do to support the kids in the way that I need them to be supported when I'm not with them. That is the most important thing, not my ego. So the tit for tat, the tot for tata, I don't care what y'all got going on and how badly y'all dislike each other, but the fact is, as the mama is stating, y'all ain't got control of these kids. So while y'all so busy, I'm talking, I don't know who's zooming who. What I know is y'all so busy running after each other to make each other's lives miserable from the basement to the top floor that y'all are neglecting to see, okay, what is really going on and how the kids are subconsciously being affected. So much so that the mama got to tell you about it. And I understand. Here's the thing: when you go through a life event, and I can speak from experience, you don't know up from down no more. You just trying to make it through the day. That is where I have been. Okay, for the past several months, I'm just trying to make it. Okay, so I get how these things can turn you upside down, and you may not notice what's happening. But y'all, this needs to be a wake up call that something has got to give. Something got to give. Speaking of things that have to give, Kelly is trying to take her daughter driving, and that's got to give too. Okay, girl, she doing like most of us teenagers did. I ain't gonna even lie. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was the type. First of all, you nervous that your mama in the car. Now you nervous that a camera in the car. So it just is what it is. Does Kelly have on her seatbelt in this? Let me see. I can't tell. Somebody ain't. It looked like somebody ain't wearing their seat. Maybe the seatbelts are. How are the seatbelts on? Oh, the seatbelt on the. Okay, ma'am. The seatbelt on the daughter is across the lap, but it looked like the back of the seatbelt. I can't tell if it's around. I mean, the thing right here, it need to be around her. That's a whole different story for another day. Kelly in this Elvis swoop sends me every time. I don't know what's going on with it. It's not my jam, but it's not mine to be. So whatever. Porsha and Shamiya sit down. Okay. Woo! Lots to unpack here. It's this sit down reminds me of Porsha and Candy and Phaedra. It does. That's what it reminds me of. And there needs to be more of these types of sit downs on these shows. Like sit them down in a restaurant and make them hash it out. That's what I like. After an episode or two of back and forth and drama, they need to sit it out. And then, because that causes the maximum amount of chaos, right? When you don't have them speak for a couple of episodes, and then they finally do speak, there's been so much said on the side that now they got to recover from that later. Yeah, drama. That's how you do it. Production. Okay, so but also shout out to production for not having them go too long without sitting down and doing this one-on-one Ponderosa, because it needs to happen. Okay, imagine if Wendy and Ineka had sat down at least 2 episodes after they had their initial beef, then maybe we would have got a better season that season, and maybe for those Ineka fans, she would still be there. I don't know. But what I can say is that was, I gotta say, not a good look that they didn't sit down until episode 17 when they was beating in episode 2. All right. So to me, okay, in this situation, I felt like Shamea came in revved up. She came in revved up. I think she was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna talk about everything that I've been holding back. I'm gonna try to keep it cute, but if you give me the slightest inclination that you're not listening to me, I'm letting it all out. And Porsha, I feel like, received it very interestingly to me. I really don't think that Porsha has a clue that she's doing anything wrong in regards to their actual friendship. On the show, I think that, and I could be wrong. I could be totally be wrong. But on the show, her actions sometimes show dismissal. They show shade. They show I'm really, it's really about me. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna discredit you in your music. I'm gonna say it was Drew. Why would she be playing Drew's music? Why don't you know the song? Why aren't you in the studio with her? Like all of these things. But again, because Porsha is going through, as she stated, I think that she is in a self-preservation mode, right? She's in survival mode. I won't. We'll have that conversation, but I was having this conversation behind the scenes with another person that I absolutely love who commentates, and I won't say it because I don't know if she wants me to say that she said that, but what I will say is that the point was made that that Porsha is in survival mode, right? And so I think that the self-centeredness of Porsha, that is naturally her. Notice I didn't say selfish, I said self-centered. I think that there is that nature that Shamea has had to deal with in the after show, and we'll talk about this probably a little bit later in a different episode, but in the after show, Angela feels like Shamea has been playing the long game with Porsha because she feels like she's put up with Porsha's self-centeredness. That's what I'm calling it. Angela didn't call it that, for all of these years, because it has been an inroads for Shamea to be on this show. I don't necessarily know if I feel like that per se, but I will say that, interestingly enough, while Porsha has remained on this show for most of the time that Shamea has been around, it is really Shamea's life that should have been featured all this time because she has the grandiose housewives lifestyle. Now, to take it back, let's continue to analyze. I think that Shamea let out some very interesting information. A lot of interesting information came out during this. One, Shamea states that she wants the Porsha that is off camera to be on camera. And she let us know that Porsha said, allegedly, that they got to pay her a lot more money for that. What does that mean? Because when I go back to the statement or something that Porsha had put out there, it was a tweet or something that stated that they weren't really showing all of her reality. I'm thinking, well, if you have the opportunity to give us more of your reality, but you're choosing not to because they're not paying you enough, then whose fault is it that they're not showing your reality? Because whether or not whatever salary you signed on to is what you signed on to. If you're going to get on this show and have step it, then what's the point? If that is the case, what Shamea said. Porsha did not confirm that per se, but she definitely didn't deny it. And so they end up kind of talking over top of each other. One thing that I will state in this situation, I feel like some of this is coming as a surprise to Porsha because I do think that Shamea needs to own that she's held back some of these feelings for a very long time. This friendship has been on the rocks for years. If you've ever watched this show, if you are a true OG fan of this show, you will know that what Porsha stated to Shamea about why she didn't attend her wedding on the show was very different from the statement that Porsha made about why she didn't attend the wedding in this season. You will know that. You will be able to go back and find that episode. You will see it. It's out there, right? So again, there was the moment that Phaedra had indicated or made an insinuation that Shamea and Candy were, Porsha sat right there and let it fly. The moments are there. The cracks have been there. They just don't seem like they've been addressed publicly, right? They may have been addressed privately, and Porsha may be right about that. But those things are still lingering. Now, whether or not it's because the other ladies are now bringing these things to Shamea, and Shamea fell into the trap of talking about it, which she probably shouldn't have, and now she probably regrets it. And then they took that information back to Porsha, and now Porsha is upset because she's like, I thought we were over this. Now, those things in the past, maybe Porsha has a point. They should have been over with. But the things that have happened this season, we still got to talk about. You talked over her music. You accused her of being Drew. Like, you showed up late to your best friend's premiere event party. It's just a lot. And I just think that they are both at fault. But again, something happened in the past with the mamas. And until we know what that is, we will still have lingering questions. Now, the conversation, it does not appear like it's going to be going well, so much so that Porsha has to get up from the table and leave. When she returns, she asks Shamea, what can she do differently? Now, I will say this. I think a part of me feels like Porsha just didn't want to have this fight no more. I think she really didn't. I think that, I do think that there is something to be said for everything that she is going through. But I also love that Shamea didn't back down and was like, girl, we are all going through it. Okay. Shamea has things going on with her daughters, and I'm sure those things are traumatic for her, equally, if not even more so, because that's your child. And I know that maybe you can't equate what the two ladies are going through, but they're both going through a lot. So I just think that I was glad that Shamea stood her ground, because I think that maybe she's not been standing her ground in the past, and she's setting some boundaries. And I think that that's what you do. And then Porsha, to be fair, I felt like she did humble herself. I felt like she said, okay, whether it was to placate her in the moment, because she later called it an ambush in her confessional, I just felt like she just didn't have it in her to do it with Shamea, because she could see Shamea wasn't backing down no matter what she did. So I think once she realized there was no place else for her to go, I think she just kind of realized that she needed to wave the white flag, which I think was the healthiest alternative in this situation. It's what I would have advised, right? If I was somebody watching it and I'm invested for them to get back together, I'm gonna say to them, something's got to give, you know. And it doesn't mean that you're the weaker person when you give, when you say, I'm gonna receive what you're saying, I'm gonna take it into account, and I'm gonna work on it because I don't want to do this with you. That's fair. But the problem is it didn't continue, because for whatever reason, something about what Shamea said in this episode triggered Porsha to this day, so much so that she posted something on Saturday and then had to take it down. Whether she had to, my belief is that production or the network advised her to take it down. Somebody advised her. I think she took it down. Maybe she felt bad about it. Maybe Shamea called her. I don't really know. All I know is that it did not continue till now. So again, when I gave this episode a 9 in the beginning, I got to take some of that away, because we know in real time that doesn't last. So we'll have to wait and see. I did tell you guys that I thought that Phaedra will be back next episode, and we have her coming into the situation next episode. So we'll see what she brings. That hopefully it's a lot more than child and all that good stuff like that, because I'm gonna need Faye to be activated and give us something that we can feel. Okay. I would sing that song right now, but somebody in the comments one day was like, I'm so tired of you singing. I said, yeah, me too. Lies. Anyway, so with that being said, I will catch you guys. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Hit that notification bell button and tap into the links in the description of this video. Of course, y'all know I have my books, the Wickedest Wives series. It's on Amazon.com. You guys can go. If you would, I would love for you to leave a review, especially on book 2. Book 2 is fire, fire, fire. And so I would love to have some reviews, and just let me know what your thoughts are. Who's your favorite characters, all that stuff. And of course, we still have our trip to Cape Town coming up. If you have never been to Cape Town and you want to learn more about real estate, getting a visa, we have a payment plan that you guys can utilize. Trust me, Cape Town is like my second home. If you haven't been to the continent of Africa in general, this is the time to go. This is the last trip that I will be doing this year and possibly for quite some time. So I really want, for those of you guys who have been interested in going on a trip, I want you to take some time to investigate it. So click the links in the description. And also, guys, I have an ebook out. It's all about how to find travel deals at super cheap rates, how I get paid to travel, okay? How I can find resorts and hotels for literally pennies on the dollar, how you can do the same thing even as a beginner, and how you can make money in the travel business. So any of those things are in the links down in the description down below, and I will catch you guys in the next video.